What's happening, fantasy football fanatics out there? Ryan Thomas here on the Thomas Take Sports podcast for a epic countdown to the top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks for this 2021 fantasy football season. This top 10 was meticulously prepared by yours truly. My top 10 quarterbacks, or the top 10 quarterbacks that I would like to take. Any one of these quarterbacks, if you end up with any one of these quarterbacks inside of my top 10, you're in damn good shape this season for your fantasy football league. You got an outside shot, an outside chance at winning your league if you take one of these quarterbacks. As long as you're not playing me, you got a good shot, okay? So you're getting tidbits, you're getting news, you're getting information from a guy that has won 6 championships in one league, 3 championships in another, 2 championships in another. I don't have enough fingers to hold the amount of rings that I have in my repertoire in terms of fantasy football championships that I have won over the years. There are secrets, there are methods to my madness that has propelled me to so many championship victories over the years. But one strategy that I've liked to implement, as you guys fire away your comments throughout this video, feel free to fire away your comments. One strategy that I've liked to implement over the years is to wait on a quarterback. We're in a different time now. We got some quarterbacks that can put together rushing yards, quarterbacks that can put together passing yards as well, of course. So there are some guys that if you took Pat Mahomes in the second round of your draft, third round of your draft, I don't think you're out of the ordinary to do that. I don't think that it's out of the ordinary to take even Josh Allen high in a fantasy draft. But this top 10 will be fantastic, due in large part to the fact that you're going to learn about some quarterbacks that you don't read about in fantasy magazines. Guys like Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, we know that those two guys are the top of every top 10. Spoiler alert, they're the top 2 of my top 10. I'll get to why as we get into the show. But this is a thought-out top 10. This was a well-thought-out top 10 by yours truly, a solid top 10 that I'm very excited to share with you guys. As we go into fantasy football season, I've always enjoyed helping people prepare for their fantasy league. It's my way of paying it forward. You guys tune into the show. I help you win your league. I help you win some money. I help you beat your father-in-law. I help you beat your brother-in-law. I help you beat your brother. Maybe even help a sister that's joined a fantasy football league for the first time against her family members, and they feel like she's not going to win because she's a girl. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. Ryan, help me out. I'm in my first fantasy football league. I'm a girl. I need help. I need to win. Here I come to the rescue, helping anyone and everyone that's willing to listen. So here we go. Top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks. Number 10, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Jalen Hurts obviously didn't start from the get-go, from the jump last season. Carson Wentz was the QB1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. He has now been traded to the Indianapolis Colts. So it is now officially the Jalen Wentz era in the city of brotherly love. Jalen Hurts. Did I say Jalen Wentz? It's the Jalen Hurts era in the city of Philadelphia, in the city of brotherly love. And I am very pumped for Jalen Hurts, due in large part of the fact that I picked up Jalen Hurts as soon as he was announced the starter. I was in desperate 2-quarterback league help. I needed a second quarterback that could come in and provide me with that rushing ability. Not only did Jalen Hurts provide me that rushing ability, he provided me that throwing ability as well. And due to what Philly has done in this offseason to build around Jalen Hurts, whether it's drafting a wide receiver in the first round, or beefing up that offensive line a little bit, or bringing in a new head coach, Nick Sirianni, who, Western New York native, mind you, is an offensive guru, offensive genius, a young, coach in this game. Obviously, he's a young head coach in his 30s. I like the fact that they linked him up with a younger head coach. I feel like it's actually going to help Sirianni tremendously to have a quarterback with Jalen Hurts, with the type of ability that Hurts has. I think Hurts will find himself in the top 10. If you look at what he did in that short window, he was a top 10 fantasy quarterback from the moment he started to the end of the season. in X amount of games. He didn't start a full season, but he definitely made his impact known, and his impact was seen and heard and felt. In terms of a player that fantasy-wise, you're not necessarily looking for the guy that's going to get wins on the field. Just as long as the guy gets stats on the field, he will provide you that fantasy football impact that you're looking for. So Jalen Hurts starts off my top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks for 2021 countdown at number 10. Number 9, and it's crazy for me to rank this quarterback this low in this list, being that he's the greatest quarterback to ever live in Tom Brady. A lot of people will disagree with me on that. It's my personal opinion. I can't rate Joe Montana ahead of Tom Brady because I didn't see Joe Montana play. I actually got to see Tom Brady play from week 1 of his rookie year to 21, 22 years later. You know, Tom Brady is the man, the myth, the legend, a 7-time Super Bowl champ. You look at what Brady's got around him for fantasy purposes. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard. I mean, there are some really solid names. Antonio Brown as well. They took a flyer on him, during last season. Tom Brady has all the people around him, all the pieces around him to be a top flight fantasy quarterback. But I rate him at number 9 because he doesn't provide you the rushing ability, but he provides you with a little bit better of a rushing ability than that of Jalen, or the points ability, I should say, than that of Jalen Hurts. Provides you with more of a passing ability than Jalen Hurts, far less a rushing ability. I do rate Brady at 9 because I do believe for as potent an offense as Tampa Bay has, you better believe it that any opposing defensive coordinator has spent this offseason looking at the tape, checking the tape, trying to figure out what they were able to do so successfully those, last 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks of the season where they rattled off win after win after win en route to a Super Bowl championship. So Tom Brady, I'm rating 9th overall out of my top 10. And moving onward and upward to number 8 overall, a quarterback that I praised, a quarterback that I hit the nail on the head with. When Ryan Thomas was putting together his 2020 NFL quarterback draft class, I specifically said Joe Burrow is number 1, right? Joe Burrow is number 1. Joe Burrow is not in this top 10 fantasy quarterbacks list, but a quarterback that was selected in the 2020 draft, the Miami Dolphins passed on only for the LA Chargers to receive a gift, an early Christmas gift in April, was none other than Justin Herbert, who put together one of the best rookie seasons of all time. Crazy amount of yards, 40-plus touchdowns total. A great season for Justin Herbert. And more than that, he was exciting to watch on a Chargers team that was just such an underachieving team. Now they've gone a little bit against the grain here, going from Anthony Lynn, an offensive coordinator, long time in the league, that became a head coach with the Chargers. He was let go. He was fired. Now they bring in a defensive-minded head coach. I'm curious to see what takes place with their offense, if there's any sort of drop-off with Justin Herbert. But I can't go against the talent level that Justin Herbert possesses, and I truly feel that Justin Herbert is one of the better quarterbacks in this league right now. Young, if I were to do a young quarterback, quote-unquote power rankings, Justin Herbert is right there with Josh Allen, with Pat Mahomes, with Joe Burrow. Those 4 quarterbacks are going to be very good in this league for quite a long time. And you want to look at what Justin Herbert has around him. You have a PPR machine in Austin Eckler when healthy. He's one of the better PPR running backs in the National Football League. He pads the stats for Phillip Rivers at a time, and now is padding the stats for Justin Herbert. And you look at, who they have. Keenan Allen still. They have Mike Williams still. They have pieces on this offense that Justin Herbert can thrive with, and I think it's only going to continue. So I've Justin Herbert rated 8th as my 8th best fantasy football quarterback in my top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks list. This next one is going to cause people to say, what the heck, Rye? Why are you rating this player this low? He should be rated top 5. He should be rated as one of the top 5 best fantasy quarterbacks in fantasy football. But I had this player last year. I took him extremely high in a 2-quarterback league, figuring that, he's one of the few guys that I could have that would put me over the top. And to be honest, he was the weak link of my team. And that is none other than Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I've never been a believer in Lamar fully as a passer. I can't name many people that have been over the course of his short career here, these last, 3 years. Lamar is not necessarily the best passer that this league has to offer, but what he does do better than any other quarterback is move in the pocket, show that elusive ability, that escapability that is Michael Vick-esque, is rare in this league. There's only one guy that's come along in the whole history of the National Football League that is as elusive as a runner as Lamar Jackson, and it's Mike Vick. So that's how I've looked at Lamar Jackson. I definitely think Mike Vick was a much better passer, whether it was his time in Atlanta or his time in Philly or just overall as a quarterback. I feel like Mike Vick was a very good passer in comparison to Lamar Jackson, and that's why I have Jackson listed as number 7 in this top 10. I don't really like what the Ravens have done, or lack thereof, to build around him in the wide receiver department. Sammy Watkins was brought in, but Sammy Watkins is, porcelain glass over the course of his career, whether it's in Buffalo or Kansas City or even LA. He's been unable to stay healthy. And for the Ravens to bring in a receiver that's been unable to stay healthy, I don't really understand it. I know they got Hollywood Brown there as well, but he was pretty lacking last season, due in large part of the fact that Lamar Jackson just could not get him the ball. So I look forward to seeing what Jackson brings to the table. Will he be much better? Will he be worse? I'm rating him here at 7. I can't rate him ahead of the 6 quarterbacks that I have ahead of him. I just can't do it. He let me down last year big time. I'm not as high on him as other fantasy football analysts are, and I feel that Lamar Jackson is just not the elite fantasy quarterback going into this year that he was going into last year. So there you have it in that regard. Number 6 overall out of this top 10, ranking 6th, is none other than one of my favorite players in the National Football League. Is a very underrated quarterback in my personal opinion. He's got some weapons around him now in DK Metcalf, and that's none other than Russell Wilson. There is a few quarterbacks in this league that have been able to put together season after season after season the way that Russell Wilson has, despite the changes that the Seattle Seahawks have made to their roster, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, that does affect Russell Wilson. It puts Russell Wilson out there even more or even less, due to the fact that the defense is not as good in Seattle as it once was. You're not getting the more opportunities that the Legion of Boom was able to provide Russell Wilson over the course of the first few years of his career. Now that has been, plucked and prodded and is long gone. I think Russell Wilson still has maintained his status as an MVP caliber player each and every year. He's a valuable player to the Seattle Seahawks and provides you with that passing ability, that rushing ability that Lamar Jackson just simply does not have at this point in his young career. So Russell Wilson, I really like the fact that you have, a new kind of look to this team with a deep ball threat and DK Metcalf. Really, the run game in Seattle has been lacking ever since Marshawn Lynch hung up the cleats. So, Russell Wilson has a lot of pressure on him, but the more pressure that Russell Wilson has, the more he seems to thrive. And I got Russell Wilson rated number 6 here. So number 5 in the top 10 quarterback ranking is none other than the reigning, defending, undisputed NFL MVP, none other than Aaron Rodgers. And I got Rodgers rated at number 5. I truly feel that Rodgers could end up being higher on this list come season's end. He could finish as a top 3 fantasy quarterback. I have big expectations for Aaron Rodgers, and that is based on this offseason. In a weird way, I feel like Aaron Rodgers could end up having the best year of his career due to the fact that his back was against the wall by the Green Bay Packers. They pushed his back against the wall. He pushed back. They pushed him. He pushed back. It was a very weird offseason for Aaron Rodgers, only to ultimately decide to stay in Green Bay. But I truly believe that Aaron Rodgers is playing this Tom Brady GM-esque role. That's the power that he wants in Green Bay and the power that he's earned, frankly, in Green Bay. And you see it with the addition of Randall Cobb brought back. I don't know what Randall Cobb really has left in his career, but I know that Aaron Rodgers can squeeze any juice out of Randall Cobb that he has left. And I'm excited to see this gunslinger go at it with one of the best receivers in the game in Devontae Adams, who is finally getting his due as the legitimate wide receiver that he is. Aaron Rodgers, rated number 5 here in this top 10. You can't go wrong with a gunslinger like Aaron Rodgers. So, moving forward, number 4, big question mark here. And I understand why people would have, slight hesitation to take Dak Prescott. That ankle injury last season was awful. It was one of the worst ankle injuries I've ever seen. I'm watching HBO Hard Knocks pretty adamantly and closely. I love Hard Knocks. It's a great show in terms of what they provide the fan with each team that they cover. And Dak Prescott has had his fair share of injuries outside of the ankle injury post not one, but 2 ankle surgeries. That was the tidbit that was thrown out there right from the jump in the pilot episode of this season of Hard Knocks, that Dak Prescott didn't have 1 ankle surgery. He had 2. So me ranking Dak Prescott at 4 here, ahead of Aaron Rodgers, ahead of Lamar Jackson, is not only ballsy, but just goes to show you how little I care about this ankle injury and how much I trust the recovery, the rest that Dak Prescott has enacted throughout this offseason. I think Dallas is being extremely careful with their huge investment at the quarterback position in Dak Prescott. I feel like Dallas knows that if Dak Prescott is out, they have this much of a chance at doing anything, let alone making the playoffs. So Dak Prescott, I feel like he could very well win NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He was on a tear prior to that ankle injury. It was one of the best passing seasons of his career. And, from a yard standpoint, touchdown standpoint, you name it, Dak Prescott was doing really great. But I have Dak Prescott rated 4. I believe in him as a fantasy quarterback. I think he's going to do well for you. So Prescott, healthy, ready, locked and loaded, 4th out of 10. Now, the top 3 is a triple threat, no doubt about it. I think this is one of the best top 3s that I've ever been able to put together. A top 3 that I have no hesitation in taking any one of these 3 quarterbacks in my fantasy football drafts this year. Number 3 out of the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. I remember when Kyler Murray was selected 1st overall, I thought elusive, electrifying, fun, unique, dynamic, right? Those are the things that come out when you look at Kyler Murray's game tape. But he's very small. I was worried about his size. I was worried that he would take too many hits. Kyler Murray is one of the smartest scrambling quarterbacks I have ever seen. He doesn't take many hits. He throws the ball when he needs to throw the ball. He uses the sidelines when he needs to use the sidelines. That's something that even Josh Allen didn't necessarily do in his rookie year. Even up to date, he hasn't really done it that well, and that's something that I know Buffalo Bills fans have been nervous about in terms of Josh Allen taking too many hits, not using the sidelines the right way. Kyler Murray is an extremely smart player, and I think he's going to have a really solid career and a really consistent, I should say, fantasy contribution. In terms of consistency at the quarterback position, you're not going to get more consistent from a fantasy quarterback standpoint than Kyler Murray in comparison to the other quarterbacks that I have with Prescott, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, as well as Justin Herbert, Brady, and Hurts. Kyler Murray was Mr. Consistent. I expect a big year from him this year. He's got DeAndre Hopkins back, of course. You got a solid offensive line up front of him now. I think that they've done a good job at adding some talent there. So Kyler Murray, I got him 3rd overall out of my top 10, which means we're up to the top 2 quarterbacks. Spoiler alert, Josh Allen, number 2. Josh Allen, 2nd overall. My boy, the Buffalo Bills quarterback, Josh Allen, now signed a quote-unquote 6-year extension, which is essentially an 8-year extension with the Buffalo Bills. And we know one thing is for certain, Brandon Beane has provided Josh Allen with a solid supporting cast, and Sean McDermott has been that coach that has provided the energy, the confidence that Josh Allen needed coming from the University of Wyoming to the Buffalo Bills. He's the guy. There's no question about it. Josh Allen is the guy. You can't debate it. People try still, for whatever reason, to debate that Josh Allen is or isn't legit. There's always that debate. Is Josh Allen legit? Is he not legit? Josh Allen's legit. I've been saying it for 3 years. I had no fear when the Buffalo Bills selected him, and I have no fear selecting him and ranking him as my second best fantasy football quarterback. You got Stephon Diggs back. You got Cole Beasley back. You've now added a veteran slot receiver in Emmanuel Sanders, and don't forget, second-year pro Gabriel Davis out of the University of Central Florida, who was phenomenal for Josh Allen and for the Buffalo Bills this past season as a rookie. Josh Allen could have an even better season. Yes, I think the best is yet to come for Josh Allen in his 4th National Football League season. Big things are ahead for Josh Allen, and big things are ahead for you if you select Josh Allen as your fantasy football quarterback for the 2021 NFL season. Which means, number one, the best quarterback in the NFL, right? The best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs superstar, minority owner of the Kansas City Royals. He's making the big dollars, and he's investing the big dollars the right way. But how much will you invest in the quarterback position by selecting Pat Mahomes? You're only going to be able to get Pat Mahomes if you use one of your top 3 round picks on Pat Mahomes. I'm playing in a lot of mock draft scenarios, trying to, finagle the mock drafts any which way possible. And Pat Mahomes is going in the first 3 rounds. So if you want Pat Mahomes, you're going to have to pay for him. With that being said, I'm Ryan Thomas. That was my top 10 2021 fantasy football quarterbacks. I cannot wait for my first fantasy football draft, August 27th. Hopefully this top 10 provides you with a little bit of a enlightenment on what you need for your fantasy football quarterback position. I'm Ryan Thomas. Take care. Happy drafting, everybody. 'Tis the season. It's almost here.